Hi, I'm Lima.
And I'm Charlie.
And together we are Lloyd and Kathy, and we are bound and determined to restore this 1978 Islander Bahama 30-foot sailboat. We began this journey in June of 2022, and we have accomplished quite a few things with the motor and beautification of the boat. If you just joined our channel, please go back and watch the previous videos, because it'll kind of educate you on where we started and how things were, and bring you up to date on how things stand today. But anyway, we hope you enjoy our videos, and we hope you'll subscribe to our channel, and hope you enjoy watching our videos. Thank you. Well, good morning from Lima, Charlie. It is time for a change, and what I mean by that is it's time for the oil change. And as I may have explained in a previous video, this motor that I have, the Atomic 4 30 horsepower motor, does not have an oil filter on it. And I have some experience with that when I operated a couple of airplanes that had Volkswagen engines in them, and they did not have an oil filter either. And I used to change the oil in those about every 15 to 20 hours, and that's exactly what I do on this Atomic 4 motor. As far as the oil that I use, it's a 30 weight, straight 30 weight oil, which can be difficult to find at times. I was real surprised at that. But most oils today, as you probably know, are high detergent oils, and that is not recommended for this motor. So it takes 3 quarts of the 30 weight oil, and what I use to extract the old oil is this oil extractor. And the way that it works is that you put the end of the plastic tube down the neck of the dipstick, where the dipstick goes in. That is located at the rear of the motor, and because of the tilt of the motor, that's ideal because it rushes all of the oil to the very bottom and back of the oil pan, and therefore you can be pretty sure that you're getting out all of the oil, plus any impurities might be in the oil that will lay in the bottom of this jug. And this is what I use to put the oil into, the old oil. And then I can take that back to the auto parts store where I bought the oil, and they will recycle it for me, so it's done and disposed of properly. So you put this in the neck where the dipstick goes, and then you simply pump the handle. It extracts the oil, and then you're done as far as getting the old oil out. Then you put the new oil in the neck at the very front of the motor, and before you do any of this, you run the motor for about 5 minutes to warm it up and get all of the oil nice and thin, and so that it will all drain down into the back of the oil pan after you let it rest for a little bit, and you're good to go. So it's time to run the motor, and let's go ahead and do that now. All right, step 1, come over and turn the battery on to 1. That's the start battery. Turn on the blower that will blow out any gas fumes that might be hanging around the engine compartment. Come out to the cockpit. And I ran it earlier today, so I'm not going to use any choke that I normally would pull all the way out at engine start. So we'll turn the power on, give it just a little bit of gas, and start. Purrs like a kitten. So we'll let it run for about 5 minutes just to warm everything up, and then we'll shut her down, and it'll be time to change the oil. Okay, she's run for about 5 minutes, and the oil temp is coming up on the gauge here. So I think we're good to go. So I'm going to back off on the throttle, about 1,000 RPM, and we'll shut her down. Then we'll go back below. And turn the power off. And now we're ready to change the oil. Okay, so here we are back in the hull. That's my name for the quarter berth. And I like the fact that this oil extractor has a two-part tube, because what I can do is feed the first tube, the end of it, down into the dipstick hole receptacle, which is not easy to find, and then I can take the other end and plug it in. Sorry for the photography. Plug it into the other tube that goes to the receptacle, the oil receptacle, which is sitting there. So now it's all together, right? So now the other end of the tube is in the where the dipstick goes, and now it's just time to pump. Out with the old and in with the new. Ah, doesn't that feel good? Happy motor. Happy motor, happy owner. One of the things I like to do after changing the oil is I'm going to put 3 quarts of oil in. I want to see if I got 3 quarts of oil out. All right, so job done. We took 3 quarts of oil out, and we put 3 quarts of oil in. So now we're off to the auto parts store to recycle this, and then tomorrow we'll take the boat out and give her a good run and let her stretch her legs. And it's time for me to change hats and get to painting. So what I'm about to tell you demonstrates all you need to know about how unpicky I am when it comes to aesthetics. I like things to be pretty and nice and nautical and perfect and like all the other big expensive boats, but there are times when that's just not possible or reasonable, and this is one of those times. So let me tell you what I got going on here. This is, of course, is the pedestal, the helm, the wheel, the gear shift, the throttle. And I've had this apart once before when I had to put install a new gear cable up through the pedestal from down in the engine compartment and on and on. And that was a long time ago, so I had forgotten how this all came apart. But what I wanted to accomplish is I wanted to have, like the other big pretty boats, what's called a pedestal guard. It's 2 chrome bars that come up. They attach at the deck with footings. They come up and they sometimes kind of lean out at an angle, and then what you do there is you mount all of your navigational instruments to that. So I wanted to do that too, and I've wanted to do it ever since I got the boat, but I just haven't had the expendable money to spend on something like that. And yes, it's aesthetic, but also it is functional. So anyway, so I've been noodling and thinking about how I can accomplish that, and I think I've come up with an answer. So I'll show you what I've done so far. I took the compass off, and I took this off, and I'm not sure what you call it, but it's like a riser that the compass sits on. And then down below that is the actual gear cable connections for the throttle and the gear shift. You can see those moving around and that kind of thing. So what I did is I made a pattern of a device or a plate or what do you call it? I forget. But anyway, I made this. So this is made out of, what is that, phenolic block or something like that? Anyway, I made the pattern out of this, and I'll transfer this pattern once I get it refined to a piece of aluminum that I'll paint, and will sit in here just as this is here. And then the riser will sit on top of that. The compass will sit on top of that. And then I will have these two holes, and I will have a, get this, a PVC pipe, 1-inch diameter PVC pipe, which will come up through this hole. It will be joined with a horizontal piece with a typical PVC elbow, and I'll have a PVC cap to put on the bottom and the top of the aluminum plate. So that will come up about 10 inches off of the plate. It'll have, as I said, that horizontal bar. And then I'm going to buy from a company called Railblaza. If you've never looked at this site, it's just fun to look at, to be honest with you, all of the contraptions they've come up with. But anyway, this Railblaza thing will hook up, clamp to the horizontal PVC pipe up here, and you'll be able to then come around here to the helm. You'll be able to see the compass as you're navigating the boat. You'll be able to see the Railblaza support, and at the top of the Railblaza support, about here where my hand is going to be a 10-inch tablet. It's a Android tablet that will display from a app called Navigational. It'll display positioning, speed, depth, most importantly, position and route. So you can program a route into it and that kind of thing. But anyway, that is what I am planning, and I will keep you posted as I develop this. The first thing to do is, I've already got the tablet, so the first thing is going to be to make this plate in aluminum. I proved today that it does in fact fit and will give me allowance for the travel of the gear shift and the throttle. And I think it'll be in a good position for seeing it and reading it as you're boating along. So that's what I'm up to right now, and like I said, I'll keep you posted. All right, so progress has been made, and the plate that will support the PVC tubes has been made, and so we're pretty much there. Now all I'm going to do is paint the bottom and the top of this with the same white paint that I used to paint the pedestal with, which is the same white paint that I'll use to paint the hull with. But you can see the two holes here. Those will hold the two grommets, and the PVC pipe will come up through the grommets, and I'll have a cap underneath that will hold everything in place. At least that's the general idea. So stay tuned for further updates. Well, looky here. Ladies and gentlemen, please hold your applause while I explain exactly what we've done here. I have to tell you, I am very excited about how this turned out. So as you saw in the previous pictures, I had the PVC pipe in place on the aluminum plate base, and this was kind of sandwiched in between the top and bottom of the pedestal. And I painted the PVC the same gloss white color as the pedestal itself, and it's all back together now, and I think it looks so good, and I cannot wait to get out into the water with it and give it a try. There is my Galaxy pad or tablet, and there is my navigational map that you can see here, and if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see exactly where we are. This is my boat right here in the marina, and I can put in a route. I'm going to choose automatic, and I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to put my route from here to where I am in the marina, and I'll do that when I'm out in the water, and it will show my speed across the water and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, so that's the tablet, but I'm excited about the tablet. I'm excited about the navigational aid that I will have now. But I got to tell you, I am really happy with the setup, and I want to talk about the Railblaza, and that's with a ZA, by the way. And this is the mechanism that supports the tablet on the PVC. Obviously, this is available along with so many other attachment devices that they sell. If you want to look them up online, it's just a lot of fun just looking at all the different stuff that they have. But as you can see, this clamps to the top of the support bar. It has an adjustment so you can adjust the tilt of the tablet. And when you're back from your outing and you want to take the whole thing off, you can just unlock it with this little tab here. And this is not easy to do, but it will pull out of there like so. You can now take your tablet and the clamp that holds it in place, and then take this rubber thing here and close it down into the piece so that no water or rain or that kind of thing can get in there. But so that's what it looks like when it's removed. And then if you're ready to go again, you simply pull that rubber stopper out of there. You insert the thing back into the starport, is what it's called, and push the locking device back in place, and you are ready to go. So there we are. I'm pleased as punch. I can't believe I did this with PVC. I need a dinghy for this boat, and I'm thinking about buying some lengths of PVC and building a dinghy out of PVC. Not really, but you could. So anyway, that's my excitement for the day. And I have to say, the most amazing thing about this is that it all happened and worked together perfectly. I really never had any problems along the way. So there we are. So I thought I'd let you in on the most current happenings on Lima Charlie here. I've always wanted to do something with this back wall, and I may have mentioned in a previous video that I wanted to put some kind of cabinetry back in this space. And I'm going to, but after taking the cover off, which is now sitting over here, that used to be the cover on the wall, and you can see how beautiful it is. You know, every time that I open an area of this boat and I see what is behind it, what is hidden, I'm becoming more and more convinced that somebody who owned this boat previously did a whole lot of modification to it. And can't you just imagine that 20-30 years down the road, if this boat's still floating in the water, that somebody's gonna dig up my work and say, you know, I'm convinced that somebody did some modification to this boat. But anyway, I'm just seeing signs along the way that things probably are not as they were when this boat was built. But that really doesn't matter. The fact is that I opened a can of worms here, and am going to have to proceed because I have no choice. But anyway, I'm going to figure out a way to refinish the remaining existing wood over here, the trim pieces. I'm going to paint this back bulkhead, which is actually the hull of the boat. I'm going to paint that white, gloss or semi-gloss white, and then I'm going to cover it in the same material that I used on the starboard or the port side of the boat to cover those shelves, the gray kind of weave. It's a plastic cloth, for lack of a better description, and I'm going to use that to cover the back wall after I paint it. And then I'm going to make a piece that will be a frame that will cover this entire thing. And I was initially thinking that I would have a cabinet over here with some kind of a bar glass type thing and everything, but there's just not enough room behind there to do that. So that kind of throws that idea out the window. So I may, where it's so narrow back here, I may just go ahead and cover that and just let it be and kind of wall it off a little bit. And then in the middle here where it opens up a little bit, then I'll likely do something there decorative. And then down here at the very end where you see the wiring, that's where the radio hooks up, and that's where the radio is going to be located within that wall that I build that covers the front of this opening. So all of a sudden, when I was thinking about things like putting more paint on the deck outside and more paint and decorative things on the inside, I'm back to grinding it out with carpentry and paint and varnish and crap. So there's something I just have to show you guys. I was saying that it's pretty clear as I go through the boat and do all this work that a lot of modifications, not all of them, you know, huge or serious modifications, but just stuff has changed since the way the boat was built. But I just wanted to point out, you see the fabric here that's kind of sticking out, and here you see it's kind of like a vinyl or something like that, and there's little tiny staples in it, and there's little tiny staples all the way up this vertical piece here. You can see some of the rot there. Here's more of this vinyl with some kind of a cotton or some kind of fuzzy backing to it. And I'm finding that all over the boat. So what I think is that when they built the boat, they covered many of the surfaces, including this back bulkhead here, which again is actually the hull of the boat. I think they covered it in this white vinyl, and at some later year, after it went through an owner or two or three or four, they ripped all of this off throughout the boat. But I find these little staples and these remnants throughout the boat. And one other thing I wanted to point out, and you can see here, I tried to unscrew. This is the piece that was screwed in to the shelf so that the face of the shelf had something to attach to. You can see they epoxied it to the front. And so I tried getting the screws, the Phillip head screws, out of here, and they were basically corroded in place or epoxied in place. So I ended up having to just rip this piece out of here, but I wanted to show you what that looked like. And then another piece that's interesting down here is you see these pennies. Apparently they needed, for whatever reason, to support this piece and lift it up a little bit down in this section. So somebody, whoever was working on this part of the boat during construction, I'm assuming is when this happened, they used 3 pennies to elevate this piece of wood. So I took them off. This one was actually glued to the shelf, and the other 2 were just laying here, and I thought maybe they had fallen down at some point in time underneath this piece of wood, but actually it was placed there intentionally. And they're all dated 1979. So I find that kind of interesting. So I don't know that that proves that the boat was built in 1979. It's a 1978 model, the boat is, but whether or not it was actually built in 1979, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to keep these as some kind of keepsake for the boat. But I just had to share that with you. But this is what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to put a shelf doubler on here. I'm going to put a layer of fiberglass on top of this. Then I'll put a thin piece of plywood on top of that, fiberglass on top of the plywood, and then paint everything up and clean everything up. And then at a later date, I will show you what I'm going to do with this space. As you can see, it's not very far from front to back. It's like 2 inches over here, about 7 inches in the middle, and about 9 inches down at the end. But what I've got to do right now is, you see these wires running along here. I've got to find out where these wires go to, and I'm going to I suspect they don't go to anything that's working, but I'm going to have to find that out. And the only reason I say that is because there's nothing really on this side of the boat unless these go up up the mast to the lights and that kind of thing. And what else I have to do before I enclose this is I've got to go, as I have done throughout the boat, and take all of these washers and nuts off and put butyl tape on the bottom, 5200 on the top, and secure them back in place. Now these are not currently leaking. This entire area is not currently leaking. However, the last thing I want is to go through all of the work that I'm going to have to go through to work on this compartment and have water start to come in to this space. So I'm going to take all the precautions possible. So that's it on an update on this space.